episode 58 of Sonic Talk. With me tonight, as always, is GX Echidna. Say hi, GX.
Hi, GX Echidna is who I am. Or just GX, whatever, I don't know.
Or Chris.
I go by many names on the internet.
I go by two.
And with us, as always, still refusing to show his face, is Alex Beal.
Hey, I'm Alex. My avatar's an Enerjack thing. I actually got to pick my avatar this time. It was nice.
And, of course, I am Jason Berry, the host. You know, I never normally introduce myself, so it's kind of nice to do that for a change. Anyway, we got a few things to talk about. Not a big month. It's after the holidays, it's been kind of slow. There's a few things, but we'll get on to that in a moment. Right now, we've been talking about, of course, about what we've been playing. Both me and Alex have been playing EA's Anthem.
Oh, I haven't been playing anything like that right now.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you did.
I'm going to eventually, but
okay. I see you discuss it a lot on Twitter, so I was wondering. I thought you had. I've been playing it since the 15th on EA Access through the Xbox, and it's not bad. I mean, the best way for me to put it is it's 1/3 a very competent game with beautiful graphics, a great traversal, being able to fly everywhere like Iron Man, and just dropping right down, and you got a solid combat gameplay with different weapons, different types of grenades and powers at your disposal from 4 different javelins you can use, and those parts are fun. What's not fun is the other 2/3.
Hi, welcome back. I just had 2 power outages in a row, so that was a fun experience. It's been about half an hour or so since we've last convened. I don't think we've lost that much of what we recorded, so yeah.
Really just some Lego stuff. So
we're mentioning about Jack Specific and the upcoming toys, including the little minifigure Mighty and Ray and the capsules. And I was mentioning there was a on Lego Ideas, ideas.lego.com, I think it is. They have a Sonic Mania playset with a giant egg robo, the loop-de-loop for Green Hill, and another thing for Green Hill. Of course, the little mini Sonic figure and an Eggman figure made entirely of Legos, along with some very tiny little flickies and a is it called Caterpillar?
Caterpillar
or Motobug.
Motobug.
To me, the coolest looking thing in this concept is the giant egg mech.
It is definitely the top element of that design. It's probably safe to say, for those who are not familiar with the concept of Lego Ideas is kind of Lego's crowdsourcing platform to just gauge interest in fan-made sets.
That's how I got this baby.
Which people can't see because I had an image up over top of it. But basically,
so I got a Tron set here, I'm sure.
So some of the weird licensing stuff that they might have done, like if you go into a Lego store now, one of the big things you'll see is, hey, they have a Voltron set, or they have this set based on the Flintstones that recently just released. And it's like, these are things that people pitch to them using their online platform, and then they have to get a large number of votes or a large number of supporters in order for them to actually turn that into an investment into a product, if they feel like they can, or if they feel like it's a reasonable thing to do.
And if they can get the license, because if you remember, there was a Zelda thing of this years ago, but Lego couldn't make it work because it couldn't get the license.
Yeah. But
I'm sure Sega would be way more willing.
Sega's very open about licensing.
Sega is very open about licensing. There are
just
a lot
ask
of things
at games.
Not to mention we had that Blast Sonic Lego game thing for Lego Dimensions. So, like a Sonic Lego figurine technically already exists.
There is at least an open door there. Like that is probably the most positive thing that you could say about that is a lot of these parts already exist. Now, that said, I believe for them to fully go under absolute consideration, it has to get 10,000 supporters.
Yeah.
This morning, whenever Jason sent it to me, it was about 350-ish. It's currently at about 650. So there is definite interest there.
I mean, this is
it still has This still has over a year to go for votes too. So
yes,
I can imagine this is almost a shoo-in.
This is a Sonic license, so of course 10,000 will be easy for it.
Yeah, I would describe it as this. It's harder to do this than I would say than doing a Kickstarter project, because Lego Ideas is about the sheer number of people willing to go in on this, and it is possible that it could be made, but just don't expect to see anything from it anytime soon. But as a design premise, this is definitely one of the better ones that I've seen. I'm going to bring up one on the screen here that actually linked me to it that did get about 400 votes, but the issue that I see with it is that this would be a hard sell for Lego to do, just because it's a lot of smaller things, and it's very busy. And that's not really what Lego wants out of an Ideas kit, especially one like this that might be targeting a younger audience. So, I would say there's always the possibility that it might not go through, but it is an interesting thing to see that people are pushing for more Lego Sonic products beyond what they did for Lego Dimensions.
And I might actually, I'm not really a big Lego person, unlike you guys, but I might be at least tempted by a Lego egg robot mech thing. I forget what it's called. Damn, but you know
Egg
what I mean.
Robo.
Egg Robos are those little little standalone robots. They isn't the giant mech.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I am the big
Egg
Lego
Titan.
guy.
I'm not sure.
Here's hope.
The big Lego guy.
Yeah, I'm aware. Both of you are. You're really big on Legos.
I'm not as big as I used to be. No, because
really,
these are two things.
Look at my room. Look how messy my room is. I don't have room for that shit anymore.
Does this mean we aren't?
I don't get any of the big play sets. I get some of the smaller ones. I enjoy the smaller ones. I can display for a while. But then that's about it. I don't do any big ones anymore.
Does this mean we're not going to the Lego store this year?
Oh, you can go to Lego store, sure.
The hell?
I mean downtown Disney?
I don't know. This whole wall, these gray containers back here, these are my Legos. This is why I can have Legos, because I know how to sort my Legos and I know how to store my Legos.
Yes, GX, you are very, very good at the Legos.
Me and my entire family are disorderly slobs.
Don't get me wrong. I am also a disorderly slob, but I'm also obsessed with organization. I just don't follow through with it all the time.
I will be super disorganized, and then I will go on a big organizing kick, and then it will all just disintegrate over the course of the next month or two.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like my life.
So, if we're done talking about this hypothetical Lego set, there's I'm not really sure if there's really much we can talk about with this, but the Sonic panel at South by Southwest 2019.
It's been confirmed.
That's been confirmed. I
No,
really
it's not-
should try to get to South by Southwest one of these days, but it's not going to be this year.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about that is that every year that Sega goes, they almost always announce something new there for Sonic or what have you. And it's always a Sonic panel. I think last year is when they first announced Team Sonic Racing.
Really?
Now, when you say
Oh,
announce,
right. No, we just got the logo.
Yeah, that was
That's
the
right. We got the
bullcrap
logo
announcement.
What
that
they
was the bullcrap
announced was
announcement. Yeah.
Sonic Mania Adventures and Sonic Mania DLC,
Right.
which
And
you know.
But it's always some kind of Sonic announcements, basically.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this year, I would not be surprised if we got, like, something related to the movie. Because...
Oh God.
I mean, that seems like the type of place where they could do that. That seems the type of place where they could be received.
We will get look at realistic Sonic.
We have to think about is that Team Sonic Racing is a kart racing spin-off Sonic game that we were supposed to get last year that got delayed to this year. So chances are we might see another Sonic game for the fall of 2019. So if they were going to announce it at an event, this might be the one to do with that.
I don't know. I think
the design for the Sonic character in the Sonic movie, the full design instead of that creepy silhouette we've been having to deal with.
I think that we are going to. I think it's going to be really tough for them to have an additional game this year. Forces was 27. No, wait. Forces was
2017. It was 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
But so was Sonic Mania. They were literally in the same year. So it's not too far-fetched that there'd be two Sonic games in 1 year, especially when there was none last year.
Well, in my mind, I'm trying
Sonic Mania too.
I'm trying to think what teams would possibly have something ready for that.
If they're doing a Sonic Mania Adventures Season 2, then I don't think a Sonic Mania 2 would be out of the question for this year.
Although who will have been working on it? Because like the dev team behind it just formed a new dev team called Evening Star.
Here's the thing. That isn't to say that they can't still work with Sega.
Exactly. It's basically like
they just formed a new dev team, so doesn't that mean that they would only just now be starting on whatever they're working on?
Not necessarily. It could just be formalization. It could be them putting a stake in the ground saying, we have this proprietary engine, we are the people who have made this game. We are business now. Now we are business. This is now if you want to talk to us,
exactly. It's no longer we're fanboys who got together, helped develop a game. Now we're a full game development studio.
Right.
Well, I got my fingers crossed because Mania 2 would be pretty damn cool. And alternatively, I mean, Izuka did say something about a Sonic Adventure remake last year, so who knows? Maybe
he didn't. Okay. Let's nip this in the bud right now. Okay. Number one, they're not going to announce that at South by Southwest. That is not a game that they will announce. Second, he expressed interest. He didn't say, I'm making that.
Okay, he expressed interest.
He listed it as something in a large realm of possibility. It exists in the possibility sphere. I don't think he's going to do that anytime soon. I think if he does, that's at least a 3-year away project.
Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that they've been working on since last year.
I think that Sega would have throttled him if he said that and they were actively working on it.
All right.
That isn't to say he wouldn't do that on accident. Let's remember, this is Izuka. He doesn't have the greatest track record of saying the smartest thing at the right time. But I think that's wishful thinking on your part.
Yeah, probably. That at least is wishful thinking as that time I predicted Sonic Adventure 3 for 20 for 2016. Oh boy, that was wrong.
I predict at this we are probably going to see something along the lines of Mania Adventures Season 2 or an agreement saying, hey, Netflix has picked up Mania Adventures. We're going to continue to do a bunch of them or something like that. That honestly seems like something Netflix would throw money at because they're Netflix.
Yeah.
They'll throw money at pretty much everything.
Things. That's why they just raised their monthly fees again.
Yeah. But I would say South by Southwest, set your expectations reasonable to low. A lot of times when they've done this type of stuff, they have at best teased it, as noted by my continued annoyance by that stupid Sonic Racing logo.
They teased the logo.
They sure did tease the logo. But yeah, I would say don't have high expectations of this. They might. I don't know. When does South by Southwest?
It's next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And currently, Sonic Team Racing is summer? Is it May?
Yeah, it's May, which I guess is technically spring. I don't know.
I wouldn't rule out an announcement about that game, specifically about some of the single-player stuff.
You know what I would prefer to Team Sonic Racing? A Sonic Transform port. So I'm just going to say they're going to do that.
I mean, that's the team I've been on since before they announced Sonic Racing, and am still currently on.
Yeah,
other than Sonic Racing.
I've been with you.
Okay, hey, before we move on to the next thing, I'm noticing on Twitch we got Knuckles' little tiny avatar right in the center of the screen. Is there anything way to move him around? Because that's pretty unappealing for video.
You do not move Enerjack.
This is what we've got to deal with whenever I have 2 power outages and absolutely no time to prepare.
Okay. All right, so our next bit of information is that Team Eggman, who was finally announced for Team Sonic Racing, along with the new racetrack, the Hidden Volcano.
Looks neat.
Which looks very neat. I'm starting to get into what they're doing with this game.
I have to say,
I was less interested.
While I find the roster to be boring, the tracks have been really. I've been really liking what they've been doing with their track locations.
Now there's a bit of controversy in the roster here because everybody that's fine with Eggman and Metal Sonic, a lot of people are upset with Zavok, and I don't have a problem with him.
I think
supposed to be dead.
The weird aspect of him is basically there's this weird thing that I guess Sonic Team has kind of gained an obsession with, we'll say, of continuing to use those characters as if anybody cared about the game that they came from. Which I don't think is the
By the way, where the heck's our Switch port already? Because that was a Wii U exclusive game. That should have been ported to Switch by now.
I would say there's probably a good reason why it didn't hit Switch. That sounds like that would be work. Much more work than it would take to make a PC port. And
they already have a PC port.
I know. Much more work than it would take to make a PC port. And I honestly, I don't necessarily get the continued acknowledgement that Sonic Lost Worlds was a thing that exists. I think at some point they're just like, who else could we make a reoccurring bad guy character? And admittedly, there are a couple of them that they could do, but for some reason, this is the one that stuck for them. Like,
I will say this about Zavok. He's better than an Egg Robo, which is what I was expecting. But if we're going to take a character that is supposed to be canonically dead or no longer existing in the world,
I don't know if
I would have preferred.
Did he die in the game?
I could have sworn he died at the end of Lost World. And
I don't recall that.
I don't recall that either.
Wow. Like, I remember everyone dying in Lost World, all the bad.
I remember them going
I remember the horrible writing and Tails turning into a robot thing.
Look, okay, I don't even care about the canon anymore. I would have preferred Chaos. I know it wouldn't make any sense, but he just would have been a much more interesting character to throw in.
I think, as much as I don't like him, I think Infinite would have made more sense as he's recent and fresh in a lot of people's minds.
That's actually what I was going to suggest. I'm surprised it's not Infinite. I'm not.
And Infinite didn't die. He just ran away like a little bitch.
I guess sworn Infinite died. God damn it!
No, Infinite just ran away like a little bitch. That's what happened with him.
Okay,
that character was a bitch through the whole thing. He was just awful villain.
Yes, he was. So I guess he would have been better than Zavik in that sense, since he was a.
Well, he would
have been better in that people know who he is because he was just off the last game, so he's still fresh in people's minds.
You know where Infinite is, though, that none of the Lost World enemies are. You can get Infinite in the Kickstarter Sonic racing game, tabletop game, for some reason.
Which there's already a tabletop racing Sonic game that IDW put out, and you can get it at GameStop right now.
Here's the thing, though. Because I own that game. That game got announced after the Kickstarter closed and released before the Kickstarter one was able to make it out. So there's reasons for that.
Speaking of, I'm going to go off topic to GameStop
also, there are 2 IDW tabletop games announced currently.
Yeah, I was at the recent GameStop getting my left joystick Joy-Con replaced, and I had to go all the way to Pasadena to get to this one GameStop that's not attached to any other building. It's kind of weird. It's just this tiny little, almost like a photo booth GameStop all on its own. But what's interesting is, I guess Diamond Select Toys has been putting out these Sonic statues now, and they just got a Tails one. It's like about this big for $50, and I saw up on the top shelf they have a Sonic one. It's almost the same size, and they remind me of what's the name of the company that makes all those statues? Sonic
First
statues.
4. Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of the first 4 figure statues, but at a much more reasonable price. But I guess they're just like a hardened plastic or vinyl style, but they look really good. I mean, if anybody checks out a GameStop that might have them, I'd recommend it, because for $50, they're pretty decent size. I just want to throw that in there as we were talking about that stuff.
According to the Sonic Wiki, he's presumed to have survived, so I guess I'm wrong.
Nobody ever dies in those things. I believe
Except Shadow technically did die in Sonic Adventure 2, and he may or may not just be a clone for the rest of the time.
Or Izuka stopped caring because the only person who ever cared at any point seems to have been Naka. And yet, I believe.
And frankly, it was the only time Shadow was good, no offense.
Jason was referring to in regard to the GameStop statues.
Yeah. Anyway, another thing to bring up is it's not really news, it's just out there. Sonic 3 celebrated its 25th anniversary as of February 2nd, which is Groundhog Day.
Which was also Knuckles' birthday.
Yep, it's because that's when he premiered, was in Sonic 3.
Yep.
So I can still remember back then. I mean, they had the Sonic 3 little Happy Meal toys at McDonald's, and I got almost the whole collection back in the day. I was a big Sonic fan even way back in that time. I got it day one.
Here's a fun fact. I didn't know Sonic 3 even existed until like 1998. when I found it in a bin. That's how uninformed. When I found it in like a discount bin, that's how uninformed I was. Like I just knew about Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic Spinball, and Sonic and Knuckles, and of course all of the Game Gear games.
You know Sonic and Knuckles existed, but you didn't know about Sonic 3, where Knuckles first premiered.
Like I might be because Archie Comics was my source for Sonic knowledge, and Sonic number 13, which was their Sonic 3 adaptation, was like impossible to get. But that's all I can think of. I don't know how it happened. But
back in the day, I was also fooled. I thought Sonic 3 was a fully separate game from Sonic and Knuckles, and they just kind of melded them together towards the end.
You were wrong.
Yeah, because that game came out in the December or Christmas of the same year. So that only made sense, I guess.
Yeah, like Sonic 3 was February, Sonic and Knuckles was like November or something.
Yeah.
Since this was also Knuckles' birthday, I did write a little article on the Knuckles comics over at Sonic Stadium, which I would encourage you all to check out, especially if you are unfamiliar with the comics, because I had a lot to say about them apparently. But they were
Yeah, so go over there and check it out. Did they ever publish our memories of Sonic 3 from back in the day? We were doing an article on that.
They did not, and that's where I had my Sonic. I didn't know Sonic 3 existed memory, and since I don't think that's ever going out there, I guess I'll share it here.
But I contributed to that article, but I don't think it ever went up.
Yeah.
Okay, our last bit for tonight is our comic talk. We're about. I haven't read issue 13 or the Team Sonic Racing adaptation yet, even though I have them. But I have read up to issue 12, and so it's technically, even though the first month of Sonic was week by week by week, it's technically the first year of Sonic because it's 12 issues, and it wrapped up the first little storyline with Eggman's lost his memory and was Mr. Tinker, and Metal Sonic became Metal Sonic and was the one who was behind everything that was happening the whole time.
Still an awful design.
So that was a fun adventure. It was even back then, but
yeah.
At least we got the best Sonic song, I think, out of that character with What I'm Made Of in Sonic Heroes.
Yeah.
And this
I enjoyed that
issue 12 is pretty much just them wrapping up and everybody going their separate ways. Knuckles is back on.
He's back where he belongs. Watching that gosh darn match.
And he's just telling Sonic to shove off. I don't need you guys anymore. They disbanded the Resistance.
Well,
they decided to disband them.
They didn't really disband it so much as.
Yeah, he said.
Knuckles disbanded it, and then Amy took it over. Because really, the idea of Knuckles commanding a resistance was always ridiculous. Now they're more of a humanitarian effort, but it's still the same basic organization.
Well, yeah, but they're not doing resisting now; they're just humanitarian.
Yeah, but I
really did like what they've done with Amy this comic and this issue.
She has
really
she's kind of become the de facto Princess Sally, which I do appreciate, and honestly, I don't think it's necessarily that out of character for her at this point, because she's even matured in the context of the games anyway. So,
even in Sonic Boom, she's very much matured up, but she still has her temper, which I really liked in that.
Yeah.
We got introduced to a new character in the last 2 issues or something that Evan Stanley created called Dr. Starlight.
I thought it was Starling.
Starlight or Starling? I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
It was Starline. So it was either Starline or Starline. I've been saying Starline.
Anyway, I thought it was a female, but it ends up just
I didn't even know what
a male mad scientist. It's a platypus, I believe.
Yeah,
and he dresses up like Michael Jackson a little bit in the.
I do enjoy the design.
Yeah, and so we had Rough and Tumble in this one, who are becoming the de facto goofy sidekicks who keep screwing up. They're very Team Rocket in the way they behave. Yeah. And it was nice to see Eggman after 12 issues. Dr. Eggman, as he knows himself, is finally fully returned with his memories. But But what I liked about that is that it wasn't because of anything Dr. Starline was doing, and they kept trying to use therapy to get his memory back, and nothing was happening. And then the one part that I really didn't like about issue 12 is that Sonic kind of let Metal Sonic go after.
Why? He's a robot. Don't try to make.
Yeah, because he's trying to make friends with him because he's like got his He's sentient, so he could kind of consider that as life form, even though he's not really. They could have just switched him off the entire time. So I wasn't happy with that, but I was happy that the only thing that snapped Eggman's memory back was finally seeing Metal Sonic come back, because that's kind of like his baby. His first major success as a. I must admit, as a robot.
Between this and the Sonic Mania Adventure short, I do appreciate this aspect of Metal Sonic and Eggman's relationship kind of being being created.
Almost a father and child thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a neglectful father, at least most of the time, but still, like he doesn't treat him like a toaster. So I appreciate that.
Well, Metal Sonic's the closest thing he has to his successes as far as almost, defeating Sonic.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, Metal Sonic was nearly successful all on his own. Like, he was he was this whole arc. He was kind of trying to carry out his creator's legacy, which is kind of out of character given what Neo Metal Sonic used to be in the games, but it's a change that I appreciate because, I mean, look, nothing from the Sonic Heroes storyline was good or all that well thought out, honestly. So, any changes from that are fine by me.
Yeah, and at the end of the issue, he's already got a plan for a world-devastating device for the next year. For the next round of 12 issues or so. So.
Which is sounding pretty cool.
It was a really nice wrap up to the whole thing for this arc while coming up into the next one.
Now, I admit I don't really feel like talking about the entire arc that too much, even though, I don't think we've talked about this comic book in months.
It feels like it.
Of just hearing that they are finally wrapping up the first major arc is actually a bit. It's getting me interested in it again because I will admit this was a situation where, the first arc has been fine from the little bit I've read of it, but it is very.
It has been slow paced because they're having to introduce so many people and so many things.
Hey, we're introducing all these characters, we're getting the team back together, and this is just an introductory arc, and from that sense, and the problem is. And I've probably mentioned this before, they were leaving that whenever they were in the thick of things in Archie. And then we have to go back to, okay, now we're just going to slow things down and introduce everybody. And it's like, in my mind, the issue was...
It wasn't as bad as, the Sonic Unleashed adaptation of Archie, where they were reintroducing the whole new rebooted world, because that took... forever.
They did, but they had a lot of small arcs in that.
This one was just 1 year. That's the thing. They had a whole bunch of tiny arcs while going through one main arc, and that took them 3 to 4 years to get through that whole thing. Only for the comic to get canceled right as soon as that was done, and they were going to start doing retro stuff and
this arc was fine, but much like The Last Jedi versus The Force Unleashed. I walked out of The Force Unleashed thinking...
I think you mean The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, whatever. When I walked out of The Force Awakens, my experience of that was, this was fine. I get what they were trying to do, but I would much rather see what they do next with this reintroduction. And that's kind of how I feel about this comic series. The first thing was fine, but I want to see him push it. I want to see what his next idea to take with it is.
Well, I probably shouldn't get into it too much, but I really am liking where he's going with at least the next little arc. It's it's kind of drawing from robotization a bit, but it's utilizing it in a very different way. I'll just leave it at that. And as far as threats go, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Starling. Now that he was at the end of issue 12, right? We saw him. Jason?
Yeah, he came in issue 11, I think, at first, and then he's also in issue 12.
So like he's kind of
Eggman seems to be happy with him as a lackey.
He's been introduced as kind of
pretty smart.
He's been introduced as kind of like Eggman's new underling / protege, kind of like Snively, except he's actually happy to be there.
Yeah, Snively without the backstabbing.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, then, has the IDW world just decided we're going to have all of the underlings? We're going to have the two jokey characters, and we're going to have the Orbot and Qbot, who might as well be Scratch and Grounder-ish. And we're going to have the Science Underling, and we're going to have the two underlings from Sonic Underground as well.
There's a major difference between Orbot and Qbot and Scratch and Grounder, and that Orbot and Qbot don't really go out on adventures. They can't really attack Sonic or make things.
Don't.
So they just mainly hang around the base and crack jokes.
But they have the same type of relationship.
Actually fought Sonic.
They have the same type of relationship, though.
Yeah, with Eggman.
Yeah.
They hang around, but basically their job is to hang around Eggman for some reason. Where Rough and Tumble are basically Rough and Ready or Rough and Tumble, I forget.
Rough and Tumble, you're right.
Okay. They are basically Scratch and Grounder, where they actually go out there and try to fight Eggman fight Sonic and
fight Sonic, and they fail.
And they fail, and they're both idiots and such.
Who are the underground ones? It's Dingo and
Sleet and Dingo.
Sleet and Dingo, yes.
They're a lot like just that.
Yeah.
I know very little of
just
Sleet and Dingo, but I knew they were monsters that were kind of dumb.
Are in this series as well. So, like I said, it just seems like he had decided, well, which underlings are we going to have? Let's have all of them. Let's have every major underling relationship that we could.
They do have a diverse set of underling. Now, one thing that I really come to enjoy about this comic series is this last arc has really shown off how Ian Flynn intends to use the lore. Because as we said earlier in the podcast, it's a sequel to Sonic Forces, but it also draws heavily off of Sonic Heroes, a game that was released.
I have issues.
14 years ago, and so it mixed these things. It mixed these two elements up in a way that really kind of makes the modern Sonic world feel cohesive in a way that the games have never accomplished. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ian Flynn does with the existing game lore in this in the upcoming arcs, and how he kind of mixes things up between the different games and his own original ideas.
I would go one step further and say that the games have never even tried.
Yeah, I mean, okay, there was an attempt.
There were
with Sonic Adventure through Shadow the Hedgehog.
Okay,
there's at least an attempt.
And then BioWare made an honest attempt to merge everything together in a way that was really convoluted and had a lot of text docs.
And also kind of inadvertently killed the Archie Sonic series in a way. At least depending how you look at it.
Yeah, and I think that just about wraps it up for us on this episode.
If anyone can pull this off... So anyway, I guess I need to get that out there. So, I guess we should wrap up now.
All right, you can always find me and Alex on Sonic Stadium, where we occasionally do articles like Alex has done recently about Knuckles and everything. And I did a recent one on freedom fighters, and I think I might have mentioned this on last time. And why they're not is it doesn't. Nobody seems to be that upset that they're not around anymore. I think their time is kind of come and gone. You know, one of my arguments has died though, and that's that we had a new resistance, so we didn't have to really need the freedom fighters for that. But they've disbarred
It'll come back because story-wise, it makes too much sense to have some sort of organized backup for Sonic. If it's not going to be in one form, it's going to be in another form.
I mean, like, the Freedom Fighters weren't even really a thing for a little while in the comic books, right? Like, it was more of a...
they were there. No, they were there like, right away.
Let me finish. Like, it was more of a general, like, Kingdom of Acorn's forces versus Eggman's forces.
No,
like,
they were there. Sally and the Freedom Fighters.
It was no longer an underground group and more of an actual, like, force that was around to fight Eggman.
The point being, keep up with Sonic Stadium because their writing staff is really kind of hitting it out lately. They're hitting it out of the park lately. They're doing some solid news coverage. They're doing decent articles at this point, which I've seen more articles on their front page that are just a little bit more analytical than I've seen in a while. And that's always good discussion starters, especially from these two bozos. I've seen more.
Yeah, this is my first article in years
from them lately than I've seen in quite a while.
It's something I want to keep up with. I've been getting a writing bug lately, so I keep that up.
I've been trying to keep up with the news ever since last November.
I am not doing much at the moment. I hope to be doing more soon as I get some ducks in a row here. Specifically in regards to streaming, you can catch Sonic Talk live over on twitch.tv/thespindash. I am the titular The Spindash. You can also follow me on Twitter at thespindash. Right now, the only things I really tweet are, hey, we're recording a live episode right now. So
okay, and one thing I wanted to mention right now is that, Sonic Revolution will be back June 9th, once again in Whittier. I don't know the name of the place. I might have to look it up. We do have Evan Stanley once again as a guest, and we haven't announced. We do have another person as a guest, a pretty big name, but we have yet to fully confirm this person as coming. I will say it is a Sonic voice, one of the 3 video game voices. But we can't announce it yet.
And
I gotta go fast, just like in the cartoons.
I mean, I do hope that you get that you.
I don't have the location here, but look for just Google Sonic Revolution, and you can find where it's going to be out in Whittier on June 9th.
And I suppose I should expand on what I said earlier about the Freedom Fighters not quite being a thing anymore. I know that they were still called the Freedom Fighters, but I'm more talking about an actual kind of army / force versus terrorists hiding in the woods, which is what they were at the beginning of the comic book.
I would call them terrorists, but
they were like blowing up factories and stuff. I mean,
by the laws of the land, they were, Jason.
Yeah, just like the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars is also probably terror.
Yeah, technically, I guess that's true. Oh, Into the Spider-Verse just won for Best Animated Feature.
Yes! I almost talked about that for this show, but I couldn't remember if we talked about it last time.
We talked enough.
Okay, good.
Yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Peace.